Let it snow because it is time to start baking cookies. Pull out one of those discs of rich pastry that you probably have in your refrigerator by now. Turn on some Christmas music and have some fun in the kitchen making these fancy little cookies that I call horns. So remember, we made the rich pastry with a cup of butter, 4 ounces of cream cheese, and 2 cups of flour. We formed the dough into 4 discs, put them in the fridge or the freezer, and you can just pull it out and they're good to go. So today we're making cookies. Last week we made the cranberry walnut tartlets that are just a beautiful holiday appetizer. I've already rolled out 1 disc of the dough, and to get it started I made sure that it was not at room temperature. That would be too soft, it'll get very sticky. So make sure that it's still cold actually. Then I just used the piece of plastic wrap that I had the dough wrapped in. I laid it over the top of my dough and then rolled it out right over the plastic wrap. And that really helps a lot, I think. It just makes it a lot easier. And you noticed I'm using a lefse board. This works so well for rolling out this dough. You can see how big your circle of dough is. Just don't tell my husband that I'm borrowing his lefse board. He might be a little upset. Okay, so here we go. I've got my dough in about a 12-inch circle. And from 1 round of dough, you'll get 12 to 16 cookies, depending on how large you want to make them. So first, I'm going to just cut my little wedges and go right in the middle. The other thing I like about this board is, look, you can just turn the board, and it's so easy to keep cutting these little triangles. I call these cookies horns because I've been making these for years. I got them years ago, probably in the early 80s, from a newspaper in my aunt's little Chicago community. And I've been making them ever since, every year at Christmas, only Christmas, so they're very special. When my granddaughter was 3 years old, this is the cookie she wanted to take to her preschool program. I thought that was so sweet. I mean, this doesn't seem like a sprinkles and frosting kind of cookie that would attract preschoolers. Okay, I think I must have about 16. I wasn't counting. Once you have it cut, then I like to sprinkle the sugar over. To make my cinnamon sugar, I use 1 cup of sugar to 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, and that gives just the right amount of cinnamon flavor without being too overpowering. And then on top of that, I'll sprinkle some pretty finely chopped pecans. You could use walnuts too. I've used both, and they're both really delicious. And then I'll take my rolling pin and just gently roll over it to kind of press the nuts into the dough a little bit so they stick a little bit better when I roll them up to make the cookies. All right, now we're ready to roll. So just take the wide end of one of the triangles and roll her up. I have my cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, and I have my oven set to 350 degrees. So all you need to do is put your cookies, your rolled up horns, on the parchment paper lined baking sheet, put it in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your oven. So just watch kind of close. Once it hits 15, they really start to brown fast. And then when they're nice and cool, you can sprinkle them with some powdered sugar. They just look so fancy, and they look like you've gone through so much work to make them. They're very impressive, and they're very delicious. Try these horns. I'm Sue Doden, sharing good food for good life 365.
Lakeland News is member-supported content. Please consider supporting Lakeland News today.